how should collectors approach DCEU collectibles moving forward? Because Carlos gave us a really good example, and this is exactly the one that I had in mind because I put it on the thumbnail, right? Black Adam, Riley's favorite movie.
Oh,
we need to talk about this because now Black Adam's dead too, right? Everything, most of the DCEU stuff, like Wonder Woman's probably gone, Superman's probably gone. So that Wonder Woman 84 figure, that was never a great film to begin with, but people still wanted that figure. Black Adam, it's a one and done, right? So I want to ask the question, and Riley, I'll start with you. Does this make DCEU figures more appealing or less appealing? Because they don't have a future moving forward. Does that make them sort of grails? Does that make them sort of sought after? Or does it make them like, now I don't give a shit because they're not even going to be back, right? What do you think, Riley? How should collectors approach these figures?
Dude, I think this is like an amazing question because it can really go both ways, if I'm being honest. I think, I'll be honest, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think that these are, you'd more so, I guess, stay away from DC because I know a lot of people like including myself, where a lot of people kind of like feel like since the DC is kind of rebooting everything, you kind of feel like damn, like why do you even have your original Justice League at this point? Because everything's just gonna be different, completely different. And like Carlos has said, I mean, I still love the movie. I love the Snyder Cut, but it's not, like you said, an iconic enough to where it'd be like a main point to where it'd be, like you said, grails or etc. Maybe it will because they're not going to be like released again, like you've talked about. I think for me, I'm probably still going to get this Black Adam figure if I'm being honest, because I just really like the character Black Adam. I think he did amazing. And again, it's tough because we're just not going to see him again. But it's crazy.
Crying?
It kind of sounded like that. I'm losing my voice.
It's all good, Riley. I know.
I'm crying. Thanks a lot, James Gunn. But no, it's an interesting question. I'd probably collect more. I'm still gonna collect DC probably, but I wonder what Hot Toys are really gonna do now, because now we're not really getting any DC stuff. I'm interested to see just like the edition size on this, because like you said, we'll probably never see this. Like maybe in the next 6 years if he ever made a return, like a cameo, but we'll literally never get this Black Adam anytime soon. So if you do want him, I'd end up pre-ordering if you really do want the character. But I think there are more so people who are kind of do I even need to collect DC right now since they're restarting everything? But it's a really interesting question. And another thing is, they said they're going to do a Black Adam. Are they going to do it? Are they even going to do it anymore? Because
fuck no,
he's not even going to be a character.
That's a really good question, Riley. That's probably something they're talking about.
So maybe,
they're probably not going to do Mira.
Yeah,
well, they shouldn't do Mira, but
yeah, they shouldn't. But maybe they'll just be like, maybe we're just gonna scrap.
Black Adam's debatable. They could probably still do that and still sell, I would think.
Yeah,
but the film didn't perform at the box office either. So
yeah, and the Hot Toys
lost
really
money,
good.
right?
So yeah.
So, but it's interesting because there's a really good comment before I get to Carlos from Dinesh that I want to address. And I think Carlos kind of addressed this already. But Dinesh said, we're still getting Dark Knight figures and aren't making that stuff in the universe. That's because Dark Knight is iconic. And Dark Knight is proved to be pretty timeless, whereas I don't know that these films are going to show. Time will tell, but I don't know if these films are going to be on that level. I think Dark Knight is on a different level. Most,
a lot of
people consider that the best comic book film ever made.
Right, that's what I'm saying. As if you think about this movie, I mean, in the grand scheme, I like the movie, but you could probably say it's like a flop movie, to be honest. But it's tough the way it is, but it's not, like you said, anywhere near a Dark Knight movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, Carlos, what do you think? I mean, because how's collectors approach this?
All right. So here's what I
are they grails?
Okay. All right. Look, you have 89 Batman, right? That universe is done. It's not coming back. They were supposed to come back. It's done, right? You have exactly what I was going to say. Cult classics, and that's exactly what Justice League is going to be. No, Black Adam is fucking done. Black Adam is the movie. Look, I like the character. I thought he was pretty badass, but the movie was horrible, right? It was like a 3 story one. The storyline was horrible. I wanted to go in there and choke the little kid. It was just really
oh my god,
you're going to jail for that one.
It was pretty bad. It was bad all around. Now, as far as should people collect it? It depends and understanding what you're getting yourself into. Batman Forever, those 2 figures, the Robin and Batman, those 2 I believe will be grails 5 years from now, because that's it. After those 2, they're not going to reissue those. They're not going to remake those. Same thing with the 1966 Batman and Robin. They made them. Now they're, for the most part, grails on eBay and all those different things. So if you're going to collect them, if you're going to collect DCEU, I mean, hey, if you love Black Adam, get Black Adam. I don't care. But I think the whole Justice League crew, but I think most of them are going to end up being a Grail because now the group is finally done. At one point, Justice League was really trash, right? And then after they announced Cyborg, now like all of them went up in value, and I think that's exactly what you're going to get. Wow, I think I'm freezing. So yeah, that's how I would probably approach it, knowing that you're going to have to, just kind of sit on them for a little bit and understanding that you have to probably get the team. So that's probably the way you would go. It's like Arkham Knight.
Cyborg's a really good example, Carlos. Because Cyborg, what do you think, man? I mean, that's a really dope figure. I mean, do you think anyone's passing on that now?
This is tough.
No.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things that like years from now, again, this is going to be a cult classic where it's like, yeah, man, I love Justice League. Just how people love Batman Forever. Just how some people, love Batman and Robin forever, whatever, Batman and Robin. So that's going to be one of those things where these will eventually be Grails because this universe is done. And we've talked about, when it comes down to being a Grail, is the character needs to be done, the story needs to be done, the figure needs to be good, and usually the movie needs to be good. But Justice League, Snyder's Cut was pretty good, and there's a following for it. Especially like if you can get a black suit Superman or even a Superman from NR or this two-pack now from Hot Toys, the Nightmare Batman and that Superman, those could eventually end up being Grails over time or do really, really great. So, hey, if you love the movies, collect them. If not, though, it's probably just stay away until you see the new ones. You know what's funny? Hot Toys is probably like, fuck. This is exactly why we don't make DC films.
Thank God we didn't do more of these. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're like, man, every time we make, but so we'll see. But that's what it would be, like, called like following. So
yeah, and Carlos, this is a tough one because Cyborg, like I really like Cyborg as a character, but he's not like a tier 1 or tier 2 for me. But the figure is incredible looking. This just looks like a work of art, man. It's just like a really dope, articulate, like really just crazy looking figure. I mean, it's just, and it looks badass. So I think people will still go for Cyborg, but I know we heard the rumblings that at Hong Kong secret base, like no one was really lining up for Cyborg. So no one really cared. Yeah. So maybe it's like it's a North America thing. Like we care about Cyborg, but they don't over there. But it kind of, it throws the stereotype out of question because they always say that in Asia, they love sort of mech, sort of robot looking figures. And this certainly fits that.
That's true.
I mean, this certainly fits that mold, but they didn't support it apparently.
I think what it is going to be a very, like I said, a very, very small following. It's like the 1966 Batmobile from Jazz Inc. I think he's already sold out and it's on waitlist now. But on eBay, I think I saw one selling for like 3,000 and it's sold. And I think one for like 26, I think 27. And it's only, and it's sold for like 15, 16. So it's already selling above it. Not because there's a huge following, but that small crowd who is, fans of these things, they're going to want it. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this is that they're probably not going to make a ton because when did this announce? Was this during the whole like everybody was just like pre-ordering?
I think so. It was a while back because it's set to come out like Q1. So yeah, it was a while back, probably 2020.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then never mind. This one might suffer from it, but I think overall though that small following is going to love this. All these pieces, man. I think there'll be at least chase figures down the road. So.
Yeah, I think so. So I would say as far as advice on moving forward with DCEU collectibles, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it does boil down to what you want, right? But don't get this and hope to build a universe, right? So because it's just not it's not going to be consistent.
And don't buy it expecting to like get a Grail. Like if you just love the
exactly.
Right. And like I said, right, like a lot of people build out their display like, oh, I have all my Marvel together and all my DC, and you could still do that with this, but they're just going to be separate. So if you want something like really specific, like all MCU or all DCEU, it's going to change obviously. So I would say moving forward, just use your best judgment. But I mean, they got to be classic characters, I think, to pick up while they're not active. So yeah, like you got to get those ones that are really just, not active. So you're picking them up anyway. But nonetheless, great thoughts, guys.